you are interested, you can always check with me, but we will try to cover as much as possible in this case. So at least we are doing this 2 hours some justice. So you saw some images flying around here. These are all the images that are created by the ChatGPT. This was probably 6, 7 months old. That means today it has even gone significant step ahead in building many of these skills. You can use it for some text generation or the image generation. Today you can use it for music generation or video generation. So all of it is possible. It's all because of the AI. So in this session, the way I have thought about it is I'll divide this one into half an hour session for each group. So info for all is almost for everyone. Those who are brand new, or someone who is housewife, or someone who is uh, interested to learn, or somebody who has never learned anything. This is for you. And the next section, 30 minutes, is for creatives. That means those who are interested to do something more creative. Maybe you want to write a voiceover script just the way I showed you earlier, or you wanted to create some song, or you wanted to create some movie script, story, or anything and everything. The next section is for the tech, or if you are a business person and you wanted to see how it can be useful for you, whether it is within your existing business or whether you're working for a company and you wanted to learn a little bit, and that's the place. I will also tell some of the tools that we are using within our organization. So some of the information, you might see it as DXE coming up there, but just that's only the limited information I'll be able to show. The last one is for many of the students or the developers. Even all of you can also learn on this one, but at least at this time, I'm focusing primarily for the developers. Okay. At the end, we'll go with what we have learned and how it can be adapted to our day-to-day life. Okay. Now, if I want to move on, let's start with the introduction, basic information. First thing I wanted to mention it the way how this has all come together, meaning why is this ChatGPT is so popular in the world right now? Because it is the easiest way to interface and interact. People were amazed by the message and the information that it can bring in. When you look at the existing tools, any tools you take a look at it, whether it is the Netflix, you use it, or whether you use the Google search engine, each of them have taken time before people were able to adopt that one. But this is the one tool, ChatGPT, got immediate attention from all over the world. 100 million people joined this thing in the first few days since the launch of the ChatGPT. Since that time, many have started using it. Every company in the world is worried that what happens next, including the big companies like Google, the Amazon, because Google is one of the biggest company in the search criteria. That means if you want to search something, the only thing that comes to your mind is Google search. You're not going to go to the Bing and then search it. If I say Bing, you don't even know what that is. So even company like that got worried. So they started working on some new model and how do we integrate AI into their day-to-day work. Why is this and how is this even possible? Okay, so we'll get a little more basic information so all of you will understand. I'm going to keep it at a very high level. So whenever you're looking at the chat GPT, it falls under the word generative AI. So if you are hearing the word generative AI, it is basically creating something new. Until recently, we were aware of the artificial intelligence. So when you think about artificial intelligence, you would have learned, okay, some things are done by the machines, whether it is creating some voice or creating some action. All that thing is part of the big field called as an artificial intelligence. Within this field, there is a field called as a machine learning. So machine learning is a branch where you're going to, let's assume that you're a bank employee and the banks wanted to create a model that will help in deciding who should get a loan or not. So what they do is they create a mathematical model that will help in deciding based on certain factors. So they have used the machine learning and they have created this particular kind of model. So one task and one model. So it used to take time and then a lot of data before that particular model was useful. Within the machine learning, there is another one called as a deep learning. Deep learning is basically they took that one task into the next level of creating some multitask or a complex task. So this one could be speech recognition or image processing and all. So those who are familiar with the Alexa or Siri and other tools, they're all coming from the deep learning. The way it has been done is based on the neural network pattern. That means they simulated how the brain works and they created the network of uh, functions that can mimic the neural networks, and then they were able to create this particular kind of a solution. The next within this is the deep learning, the generative AI. So generative AI is basically a subset within this entire thing. If you look at it, it's only a portion of the things under the artificial intelligence, or within the deep learning, it's a subset. The emergence of the generative AI is primarily because Google created a paper sometime in 2017 called as Attention is All You Needed. Based on that paper, several companies have worked on creating the model, and the one which became too successful is what is called as a ChatGPT. So November 30th, 2023 and 2021, 2022, it came out and everybody was surprised. Why? Because you ask anything and it brings up the answer. Meaning you're asking for, let's say, some information about India, you get it. You ask some information about America, you get it. How did it possible? So the way OpenAI worked on this one is, consider this way. It's like if there is a library of all of the information, that is information about India, US, war, or history, or people, languages, anything and everything that's available on the internet, if that is considered as one big library, if there is a librarian there who takes all of that information and learned, and that person can answer any question that comes up in front of that person. And ChatGPT is like that. It has learned everything that is available on the internet. There are some calculation which they were able to say how long it will take for a single person to learn all the things that is on the internet. It's humanly impossible. So when you have such kind of a power, think about it, what you can do. So let me give you an example. Today, if you ask something about what's going on in uh, Ukraine, it can answer it. Or if you say, give me a recipe, it can give that answer. If I ask it to create a program, it can do it. So it's all because of this particular thing. People were stunned and attracted towards it, and it is a game changer in the industry. And those who have not yet understood this power, they will be looking at how things are going to be changing. In fact, this year in the CES show in Las Vegas, all products that were shown were having some form of the generative AI. Today, every day there is a new news about the generative AI. So every time I'm using the word generative AI, remember, I'm also referring the ChatGPT or similar kind of products. So there is not a single product right now. Yes, in the beginning, ChatGPT was the only one, but there are more that have come up. So if I have said all of those things in the intro or in the basically the subject line, people would not have noticed. That's why I use the simplest message as simplifying AI and ChatGPT. But you are going to learn a little more details on other tools as well as you wanted to practice something. What all the things that you can do it? I just listed a very simple thing, and I was doing this kind of a session for my organization, so I was trying to focus it from that angle. You can use the chat gpt for text generation or question and answering, text summarization, text extraction, language translation. So you can see that I'm trying to fill in this page with some things. What you can see is much of it is all text, like all of these things are all text. When you go to this one, you are creating an image, you are creating an audio, you're creating a video. That means all of these things are possible because of the chat gpt or similar tools. Okay, so remember, I'm using the word creative creation, which means it's not doing some cut and paste from something that it has learned from the internet. It is creating, literally creating that information. How does that possible? Based on the neural networks and the transformer model and all that thing in the technical things behind it, you can consider it as one word at a time. That means if I start saying that bread, and then it will fill in the next word, butter. Why it should fill in the butter? It has looked at all the possible things that are on the internet. Probably butter would have been the most obvious one that would be there along with the bread. And so when you are looking at it, when you ask for a, let's say, write a summary of India, basically you're giving that as a prompt, and then it is creating one word at a time. And then once it builds that, you feel that as if that information is coming from someplace as cut and paste, but it is not. It is creating everything one word at a time. Okay, now let's go to the next one. Like I said, ChatGPT, it came up sometime in the November month. Remember, every other company started dropping in the new things. They call it as AI models. Some are the text models, some are the image models, or the voice models. All those things you are seeing it. But some are probably you can recognize. You can see that ChatGPT, I have marked with some yellow color. So those are all some of those things probably you might recognize. But there are many others. Like, for example, this llama that's coming up from the Facebook or the Meta, or Wizard LM that's coming up from the Microsoft. So one of the thing that has happened is Microsoft has invested significant money in OpenAI, so they have the full rights on what's going on with the OpenAI models. That means they have access to the Chat GPT or GPT-4 and all that kind of stuff. So you can see hundreds of models come together. So there are companies that have created which are commercial models, and there are companies that have created an open source model. That means if you are sharp enough and you wanted to deploy this one without paying anything, you can do it. Like, for example, the Llama model is a free model that you can deploy it and use it. Everybody is in the race to get to that top. The last one that you are seeing, Gemini is announced by the Google just few months back, or sometime in the November, December timeframe. So once they announced it, just yesterday or day before, they made the announcement that they used to have a chatbot called as a Bard. Today, they created Bard as Gemini. So gemini.google.com, when you go there, you will be able to see similar to what you are seeing it in the chat GPT. Okay. So let's get to that one, but you can also see many other things. You can see uh, voice. There's a company called 11 Labs. You can use the text to voice conversion. That means you put in a text and then you can ask it to create a voice and then it will do that one. Or there are many companies that are there which can create the images. That means you write a text and then you can create an image. Okay. Many companies have adopted it, like Microsoft has adopted the ChatGPT and created several tools on top of it, which can be useful for day-to-day business. For example, if I had to write an email, I don't have to go to ChatGPT and type in saying that I needed an email to be written and then copied back onto my email. They have integrated that and they have called it as a Microsoft 365 Copilot. Okay. And now they're using the term Copilot almost for many of the tools that they're bringing in. Okay. Now there are companies that have immediately become famous. This LangChain, the one that I'm pointing it out, they have created a framework where they can be using several of these models and create some programs, and then that can be used. So that just a 1-year-old company, and it is now a household name in the developers community when they are building any of those applications using the ChatGPT or any similar kind of a thing. There are models that are there which you can use the text to create directly the video. Today, you may not be able to create like a 5-hour video or anything, but think about the possibilities. Today, by just asking a text, it can create a 60 seconds video or something that is easily achievable. Whereas today, any movie creation or anything that is happening, you can think about it, they will be under threat, because if the models can create all of these things, where would they go? Okay. So some of my favorites I have dropped in here, like the Chat GPT or a Claude or Google Gemini, Hugging Chat. All of these things can be used in one way or the other. In fact, Perplexity AI probably is gaining the steam, and people are thinking that probably this can replace Google pretty soon, because this has an AI built into their search activity. Okay. Now, this is the place probably you are interested in. Okay, I want to know what are the different things I can use it. Yes, here is the first one, the Chat GPT. You can use it for creating text to text or text to image, those kind of things. Okay. Similar to ChatGPT, we have Gemini. And again, Copilot. Microsoft has its own product, and they have integrated the OpenAI ChatGPT, and they have started calling it as Copilot. Anthropic is another company. They have created a model called as a Claude. So if you wanted to chat with that one, you can go to that chat.claude.2, and then you will be able to get to their chat interface. All of these things, at least you're had to go to a browser and then you're using it, or these things have come up with some of the apps and you can download it. I'll make it even simpler. If you open up your WhatsApp tool, even they have an AI chat sitting right there with you, and you have not even noticed probably. So what Meta has done, it as Facebook has done, is they have created this directly onto your WhatsApp, and they are trying to make that easily accessible to anyone. This Grok is a company created by Elon Musk because he was thinking that they will be out of business, so they started working towards something new, AI. Similarly, there is DeepMind. DeepMind is again a company. People from Google have created this, and they have created what is called as a Pi. Pi is an app that you can use it for interactive interaction. Okay. Now,